Well, hello there. This is Craig Hain. My students call me Dr. Dell. This is a picture of me. You can go to my website, craighain.com, to learn all about me. You can also learn all about teaching math from a free PDF copy of this book that I wrote about 5 years ago called Teaching Math. And here I am today with my favorite new tool for doing math at all levels. And what I want to do in this video is answer a question we recently got from one of our new customers for the homeschool department. She said, my children are presently enrolled in Dr. Dell's math curriculum. They have enjoyed it so far and are doing well. They seem to be going through the tiers quickly. And then I have one question. Well, let me talk about this going through the tiers quickly first of all. There are, as you know, a total of 6 tiers for a student that goes all the way through differential equations. And of course, this particular client is just getting started. Her children are back in tiers 1 and 2. And that's all described in great detail, all 6 tiers in this book you get a free PDF copy of. And what she's referring to about going through these tiers, I want to make the following comment. Math is like a sport. You have to learn both concepts and tools. And so what I'm going to do here is give you, let me pull this up. It consists of mathematics concepts and also then tools for problem solving. Now, what we cover very thoroughly in all of our tiers for our students are the mathematics concepts. And one of the ways you learn concepts, of course, is to solve problems. And to do that, you need to use tools. Now, there's different kinds of tools. There have been all sorts of tools invented by our ancestors going all the way back really thousands of years. And what you really want to do is use the tools that are most appropriate today, the modern tools that will make learning the concept then much easier. And so what I do, of course, then, in particular for arithmetic, getting started, instead of using the old manual pencil and paper tools that we were taught 50 years ago, I use the calculator. This TI-30XA costs about $10 at Walmart or any other store you want to go to, or Amazon. And it's a fantastic tool. And the student needs to learn how to use this scientific calculator to do their arithmetic problems very early on. Because doing arithmetic with pencil and paper and the old manual algorithms is not only very time-consuming, it's very difficult to learn, and it also is very error-prone. And as a matter of fact, no modern STEM person or employer is going to ever pay you to do problems that way, and indeed no modern person really does problems using the old manual pencil and paper tools. Now, when a student is going through these tiers quickly, I want to remind you, if you go to our coaching videos that we supply with when you buy the family plan, for example, for the parents, math is like a sport, really. And you can learn a concept today, but if you don't practice it and review it a lot, you'll forget it. And so what you want to do is have your students spend a lot of their time going back and reviewing what they've already learned, but making sure they get it down even better. And the way you do that is you go back and have them do more exercises. And then we've given you, of course, intermediate tests to give that you can administer to be sure the student's really understanding. Now, how long it takes a student to learn any given concepts and really master them is very much an individual matter. It varies a lot from student to student. That's why this is all self-paced. And that, of course, then is something that will depend on your student. Some students are going to go through this program really pretty fast and really get it down quickly. Others are going to take a lot longer, and it doesn't really matter. You want to cater to the needs of each student. Now, in the meantime, you want to use the tools for problem solving, as I said. The first tool we teach them, of course, as I mentioned, is this calculator. Now, what happens is, once you go beyond the first 2 tiers, and particularly you get into tier 4, we're going to teach you a new tool. Now, this, of course, as you know, is the new thing what I call the supercomputer. I've set up some things to get it ready to go. If you're able to get your student one of these tools, this will be fantastic. Just go to supercomputer.org and learn all about it. And it's a very useful tool. It's my favorite tool today to use because what it includes on it is what is called Mathematica and the Wolfram tools. Now, What happens is, once you get beyond the most basic math, once you get into tiers 3 and particularly into tier 4, we begin to use a whole new tool, way beyond the calculator, to do our math problems. So I put an example up here just to give you an idea of how this works. Let's say that you're going into algebra and you're learning to solve quadratic equations. So here's an example: x squared minus 3x minus 4 equals 0. And you tell Wolfram Alpha to solve it, and after a couple of minutes it comes back and here's the solution. It says solve it, and here's the answers, and so on. Now, over on the right it'll say step-by-step solution, which I've already clicked on so I wouldn't waste time. And then what happens is it shows you how to do it. Now, it'll show you various methods for doing it. These are the manual methods now. You can use the factor method, or complete the square, or the quadratic formula. It'll show you all three of these. And so if your student is wanting to learn the manual tools for whatever reason, let's say they're, as you say, maybe they've gone off to college and somebody's wanting them to know how to do this manually. Well, then this shows them how to do it. In this example, you can use factorization, which is something they learn early on in algebra, and you can factor it, and it shows you what to do step by step by step to get the answer, which of course was very easy to do. Now, Wolfram Alpha does a lot more than that, as you know. Once you get into this, it'll also graph it for you, and then of course it shows you all sorts of other things too. So this is the graph of that. Now, I'm going to show you another example of another quadratic equation, which factorization won't work. X squared minus 3x plus 4 equals 0. You tell Wolfram Alpha to do it, and it solves it, and here are the answers. In fact, the answers are two complex numbers, and when you hit a step-by-step solution over on the right, which I've already done, it'll now give you the option of completing the square and the quadratic formula. But it doesn't say factor, because there's no easy way to factor this. In fact, very often in mathematics, a manual tool you learn simply can't be used. So, for example, if you're teaching your children how to factor quadratic polynomials, then this one wouldn't be one you'd give them. But this shows them how to use the thing called complete the square. And so it goes step by step by step. So Wolfram Alpha is like a math tutor. It'll show your student how to do this manually. And if for some reason your student is required by some other course or by somebody to learn to do a problem manually, then they can go back and review it and get instruction from Wolfram Alpha, if they haven't already received it in the class they're taking or some book. So I do not teach the manual techniques as I teach the concepts, because frankly I don't think a student needs to know the manual techniques. They're not going to use them. They're going to use the tool, Wolfram Alpha. But if they want to know the manual tool, then they can use Wolfram Alpha to get that. And this applies now. I showed a very simple example in algebra, but this applies to calculus and differential equations and linear algebra and virtually any kind of STEM math they're ever going to run into. So as a matter of fact, when we teach the Tier 4 and go through Dr. Simmons' wonderful book on algebra, geometry, and trig, and teach everything that's in here in depth with exercises, we introduced this tool of Wolfram Alpha. Now, this was not available back when Dr. Simmons wrote this book. It's only been available since 2009. I'm sure he would have been absolutely thrilled to have a tool like this to do these problems. And so, of course, we teach them how to use the tool to do that. And that's what they're going to need to know. If they're going to go to a really good school today, they're going to have to know how to use a tool like this. And this is the best tool I know today by far. And, of course, it's free. You can get Wolfram Alpha on any computer. You don't need to buy the supercomputer for it. However, on the supercomputer, when you do Wolfram Alpha, it saves it in a notebook, and so you can go back and review your work and see all the things that you've done. That's one of the big advantages of the supercomputer. There are many advantages, of course, but this is one of them. So I hope this answered your question. I think your child is going to learn, if they go through all 5 or 6 tiers and they're going to study math or STEM in college, they're going to know all the concepts they need. They're going to know how to use the modern tools. And if somebody's going to require them to know some obsolete manual tool, then they can go back and learn it using this Wolfram Alpha tool if they don't have a convenient textbook or some teacher to teach them. Because Wolfram Alpha is like I said, it's like having a tutor to show you how to do it manually. Hope that answers your question, and I wish you the best of luck and your students, of course, the greatest success in math.